We are just days away from Year 6 Season 2 launching. And with this season comes another rebalancing from the devs. And one of those weapons receiving a buff is the BigHorn Exotic Assault Rifle. We're gonna go through the changes that are coming in Season 2, as well as a build I have for you. And at first, it's gonna look strange, but the longer you watch, you'll see why it's actually quite amazing. Let's do this.
Piece of shit wristwatch.
This is the BigHorn Exotic Assault Rifle. You primarily get it by defeating legendary missions or legendary difficulty in the summit. You can also get it from the Dark Zone. If you're watching this video in Title Update 22 or after October 29th, then some of these stats will be different, which is a good thing. So it's only getting stronger. Let's start with the talent. It says, when scoped, switches to semi-automatic fire modes, dealing 450% weapon damage with each shot. That's not the reason why we run this assault rifle. It basically is turning it into a rifle, but the rifles do a better job. So if you want to play into that mode, then just run a rifle or a sniper. It's the second part that we play into, which is headshots grant plus 4% headshot damage, stacks up to 25 times. Once at full stacks, 10 stacks decay every 4 seconds until all stacks have been removed. That's 100% headshot damage. Pretty crazy, right? Okay, and then for mods, we got 30% headshot damage on the scope, some stability, accuracy, and then reload speed. Cool, right? Well, we have some changes coming. First, let's look at the talent changes. So these are the patch notes for Title Update 22 or Season 2. When scope switches to semi-automatic mode, blah, 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 same thing. But now headshots grant 6% headshot damage, stacks up to 25 times. So everything else is the same. Before, it was 4% stacking up to 25 times. So now your DPS is gonna get better as you climb to your full stacks. But because they're increasing the headshot grant and keeping the cap on the stacks the same, you're actually getting an additional 50% headshot damage with this. Wow. Now let's take a close look at those mods. We're also gonna get 40% headshot damage, 20% reload speed, and then accuracy and under barrel lifts as well. Before, that was 30% headshot damage, so that's what we wanna focus in on. We just got another 10% headshot damage buff at its base. So everything about this weapon is headshot damage. Okay, let's take a look at the weapon now and the updates it's going to be getting. So the BigHorn's right there at the top. So the base damage is going to get a little bit of a buff, going from 56,367 to 57,206. Nice, but it's the mag size I want you to see there. It's gonna go from a base 30 rounds to a base 42, and boy oh boy is that needed. So the thing about this assault rifle that makes it particular is that it really demands almost 100% headshot gameplay, and it's because of the way its talent is worked. It requires headshots in order to build the buff, and the buff that is given is also headshots. And in order to maintain your buff, you need to continue to land headshots. So if you're not going for the head, you're not getting any benefit from running this rifle. The reason why this weapon was sort of a pain in the butt to use before or now is because it has 40 rounds in the mag, and when you're going for such a small target that's wiggly jiggly like the head, you're missing a lot more, which is causing you to reload more. And so you've always felt like you were reloading. Good news is that the reload is decent, so there was that. But this weapon has gone through so many buffs, it's crazy. And early this season, I featured this weapon using the Eagle's Grasp with the Striker's gear set, giving it enough weapon handling and mag size to make it feel pretty darn good. And I gotta say, it's the best I've ever felt using the BigHorn. But the changes they're making are gonna make this assault rifle one of the best. Now, I don't think it's going to be the best because there are situations or content that you wouldn't want to run this assault rifle with, like legendary content. I know it's crazy because you get this weapon by beating legendary content, yet it's not going to be the best against legendary content. That's sort of because of the tech, right? So tanks and warhounds, they don't have heads. So you have all this headshot damage, but they don't have heads. That aside, you could just switch weapons, right? Take out the tanks and the warhounds using your secondary. So problem solved. But this assault rifle right now is an absolute beast. And the build I have for it, yeah, you're gonna wanna run this one. It looks strange on the surface, but it's got everything you need to obliterate content. Check out this gameplay. I'm running 4 pieces of Hunter's Fury. Crazy? Right. Hunter's Fury, it gives us some basic shotgun SMG damage. Yeah, we're not using that. We don't care because it's only a little bit. We do need the survivability because we need to pull up to get those headshots, to get clean headshots with this assault rifle. It's not really the best one for range, I gotta say. Since we're pulling up to the enemies, we're gonna get 20% amplified damage just by standing there. So on our first bullet and our last bullet, we're gonna have that damage as long as we're in the zone, which is within 15 meters of the enemy. It's called the Apex Predator. And then when we kill that enemy, we're going to disorient anybody nearby within 5 meters, and we're going to be stacking more amplified damage, up to 5 times. So you get stronger, and you get 20% armor on kill. You have the power and the added survivability. Now, this is where things get crazier. So I'm running weapon damage, weapon handling, and protection from elites. Let me show you the next piece. Here are the gloves. Weapon damage, more weapon handling. Here are the knees. Armor, headshot damage, and the holster. Armor and headshot damage. No crits. I'm not running any crits on this build. Why? Because we're always going for the head, and we don't have that many attribute slots. So if you start adding crits, you're gonna end up using all of your slots for crit chance to get it high enough, and then you're gonna have very low crit damage. So the BigHorn can be run with crits. It's just not very inviting to crits. It's got health damage here. I got damage to targets out of cover and assault rifle damage. And if I was going to be running it on a crit build, I'd probably be looking towards a gear set that brought a lot of crits with it. All right, the chest piece is Palisades for more armor on kill. That gives us now 30% armor on kill. And then I have headshot damage and weapon handling. And then more protection from elites. We'll talk about that, but Intimidate. So I'm running Intimidate because Obliterate requires crits, and we don't want crits on this build. So while you have bonus armor, gain 1 stack each second up to a max of 9. Each stack increases weapon damage by 4% to enemies within 10 meters. And then you lose all your stacks when you lose your bonus armor. We're running the Memento mostly for the bonus armor, but we're also getting weapon damage. We got our long-term and short-term buffs. It gives us 3 cores to get going, and we have protection from elites here. The long-term buffs are going to get 30% weapon damage, 3% armor regen, and 30% skill efficiency when we have 30 memento trophies stacked. Usually that happens in a single control point, half of the way through. All right, the short-term buffs are going to give us another 5% weapon damage per red core. We have 3 of those, so that's 15% more weapon damage, and that stacks. So 15, 30, 45. The blue cores are going to give us 10% bonus armor on kill, and we have 4 blue cores, so that's 40% bonus armor on kill. That stacks 40, 80, 120, etc. That's on top of the 30% armor on kill we have, on top of the 3% armor regen we're going to have. Fantastic, right? Tons of survivability with tons of damage. You're going to see that. And for the shield, I'm running the Striker Ballistic Shield. That's why we're running Firewall for our specialization, because this is giving us more damage that scales depending on how many enemies are standing in front of us. It's a tier 5 shield, making it very strong. I'm using a decoy for the other skill. As far as stats, we have 135% headshot damage at base. And then we're going to get another 150 headshot damage on top of this when the new buff kicks in and we have all of our stacks on the BigHorn. It's going to be about 300% headshot damage with this setup. That's insane on an assault rifle. That is sniper headshot damage figures. And that's with me putting on all this weapon handling. Now, I feel like this weapon really needs the weapon handling. So I started with only a single weapon handling attribute here on the chest and ended up adding 2 more because this thing just pulls hard, and I felt like I was missing a lot of shots, and I was focusing. I was really trying to get those headshots in, but this one's rough when it comes to its accuracy and stability, and you don't need any more headshot damage on this build. I mean, you're almost at 300% with the new buffs, so you know, take it easy. You have the amp damage, you have the backpack damage, you have the shield damage. You're good to go. Very exciting, the direction this BigHorn is going, and opens up some interesting possibilities. Let's talk about Striker in the BigHorn for just a minute. I'm a fan of running Striker and BigHorn. I've done it a lot in the past, and I recently put out a build with it. But I do gotta say, it's nice not lifting the RPMs. There's a few weapons in this game that I don't like to increase the RPMs on, and the AUG is sort of one of them. Because you're always going for the head, if you lift the RPMs, you're not only making your handling issues a little bit worse, you're also missing more shots per second when going for that head, which is going to in turn drive you to those reloads more often. Now, when you're on, you're on. So yeah, you're gonna get better DPS. But when you're off, you're just getting yourself into these painful reload cycles. So I always feel like with weapons that you're always going for the head on, the lower the RPM, the better. Thank you for hanging out with me today. My name is Tuxedo Bandido. That's Tito Bandido.
What's crack-a-lackin'?
This was another episode of The Division 2. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, like, and turn on notifications to ensure you don't miss out on the fantastic experiences waiting for you in The Division 2. And if you like builds like this, check out the recommended build video I have here for you. If you have anything you want to see covered, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And thank you to all the channel members and donors who make everything possible. Tux Nation wouldn't be without you.
When you buy a game from Ubisoft, enter the creator code Tuxedo Bandido to support the channel. Easy peasy. Now maybe this cheapskate can afford to sign me up for that dating app I've had my eyes on.
Follow me.
I get